brain theory.
Let me ask you something you've probably never said out loud. What if your entire personality is just a trauma response in disguise? What if the way you love, desperate, anxious, guarded, the way you achieve, relentlessly, obsessively, the way you smile when you're dying inside? What if none of it is really you? What if it's just the mask your inner child stitched together to survive? That lands heavy, doesn't it? But stay with me, because here's a truth that most people spend their whole lives trying to avoid. You don't get over childhood trauma. You carry it, quietly, secretly, like a ghost under your skin. And it doesn't show up the way you think it would. It shows up in your relationships, in the way you chase people who don't choose you, in the way you sabotage the ones who do. It shows up in your silence, when you should speak, in your apologies, when you've done nothing wrong, in your anxiety, your overthinking, your need to be perfect just to feel safe being alive. Childhood trauma doesn't need to scream to control you. It just needs to become your definition of normal. And for many of us, it already has. When your body remembers what your mind can't. You ever walk into a room and suddenly feel tight? Someone's tone changes and your stomach twists. Someone looks at you the wrong way and you feel like you're 5 again, about to be punished for something you didn't do. No one's yelling, no one's hurting you. But your body is already reacting, bracing, shrinking, preparing for war. That's trauma, not the memory, not the story. The reaction. Because your nervous system doesn't speak English. It doesn't care about timelines or logic. It only knows threat or safety. And when your childhood was filled with chaos, neglect, rejection, or fear, your body encoded that chaos as home. So now, as an adult, you mistake anxiety for attraction, silence for safety, control for care. You fall in love with the feeling of being unsettled because it's familiar. You run from peace because it's not. It's not your fault. You didn't choose this, but now you're the only one who can unlearn it. 2. You were taught that love had conditions. Do you remember the first time love hurt? Maybe you were punished for crying. Maybe you were told you were too much. Maybe you were ignored unless you were useful, obedient, silent. And without even realizing it, you started believing that love isn't free, that you have to earn it, that being yourself is risky, that your needs are a burden. So you grew up bending, shrinking, performing. You became the good one, the smart one, the strong one. You learned to read a room like your life depended on it, because at one point, it did. Now every time someone gets close, your brain scans for the exit. You fall into roles, caretaker, comedian, perfectionist, because being seen feels dangerous, because in your body, love is wired to feel like work. And when someone offers you love freely, without asking for anything in return, you don't trust it. You can't, because no one ever taught you how. 3. You became who they needed, not who you are. Let's get brutal. You think you know yourself, but what if the version of you you've built was never you at all? What if you became funny to distract them from your sadness? What if you became high-achieving so no one could call you worthless? What if you became independent because no one ever showed up when you needed them? What if every trait you're praised for, your strength, your calmness, your maturity, is just a reflection of how early you had to grow up? People say, "You're so composed." They don't see the hypervigilance. People say, "You're so successful." They don't see the panic attacks at 3 a.m. People say, "You've got your life together." But they don't realize you've been in survival mode since childhood. Let that sit. You are not broken. You're just tired of carrying the weight of a life that was never meant to be carried by a child. And maybe now, it's time to finally put it down. 4. You confuse chaos with love. Here's the twisted part. When love was unpredictable growing up, when it came and went, depending on someone else's mood, silence, or anger, your brain learned to see love not as safety but as intensity. So now, calm feels boring. Peace feels suspicious. Consistency feels fake. You crave the roller coaster, the push and pull, the drama, the high followed by the crash, because chaos feels like home, not because it's right but because it's familiar. You don't fall for people who treat you well. You fall for people who trigger your wounds, because somewhere deep inside, a part of you still believes, if I can finally get this person to love me, maybe I'll prove I was lovable all along. You're not looking for a partner. You're looking for redemption. And that is how your childhood keeps choosing who you love. 5. You punish yourself the way they did. Let's talk about self-worth. You ever notice how hard it is to believe good things about yourself? You brush off compliments. You downplay your wins. You sabotage your joy. Because somewhere, deep down, you don't feel like you deserve it. Not because you're broken, but because someone taught you that love was earned, not given. So now, when life finally gets soft, you tense up. You look for what's wrong, because peace feels like the calm before the storm. And the most disturbing part? You've inherited their voice. The one that said you were lazy, dramatic, selfish, too much. You whisper it to yourself now, in your head. Every time you fail, every time you're scared, every time you're human. You became your own abuser, not because you wanted to, but because your brain thought that's what love sounds like. 6. Healing feels like losing yourself. Here's the paradox. Healing doesn't feel good at first. It feels like grief. Because to heal, you have to let go of the version of you that helped you survive. The overachiever, the peacekeeper, the avoidant, the fixer, the chameleon. You have to say goodbye to the strategies that kept you alive. And that feels terrifying. It feels like death. Because for so long, that mask became your identity. You're not just letting go of pain, you're letting go of who you thought you had to be. And in the beginning, that will feel like losing yourself. But stay in it. Because underneath all that survival, there's still a you who never stopped hoping. A you who always knew there was more. A you who deserves love without earning it. A you who is not your trauma. And healing, real healing, doesn't mean forgetting what happened. It means remembering without reliving it. It means finally saying, that wasn't my fault, but now it's my responsibility. The ghost in the mirror. There's a moment, quiet and terrifying, when you realize you are no longer a child, but the child is still inside you. Every time you panic when someone leaves, every time you overachieve to feel enough, every time you hide your feelings because you were taught they were too loud, that ghost in the mirror, that ache in your chest, it's your past, begging to be acknowledged, not fixed, not erased, just seen. And you can keep running, or you can turn around and meet the child you were. Because here's something no one tells you. Trauma isn't just pain. It's the absence of being understood. It's the moment you needed someone, and no one came. But now, you get to come. You get to choose. You get to be the adult who says, you're safe now. I've got you. That's what healing really is. It's not a straight line. It's not a cute Instagram quote. It's a war, a rebirth, a resurrection. And if you're still watching this, you've already begun. So let me leave you with this. Did you know, children who experience chronic emotional neglect often grow into adults who physically flinch when praised? That over 80% of people with high-functioning anxiety report a childhood where emotional expression was punished or ignored? That your brain forms most of its core beliefs about love, safety, and worth by the age of 7, before you even knew how to spell your name? That the word personality comes from the Latin persona, meaning mask? So ask yourself, who are you without the mask, and who might you become if you finally stopped apologizing for surviving? If this video spoke to something buried deep inside you, comment below with this phrase: the mask is heavy, I'm ready to take it off. Because somewhere out there, someone else needs to read it. To know they're not alone, to know that healing is possible, even if it hurts, and maybe that someone is you. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next Brain Theory video.